In the last lecture, we have seen general way of writing the thread programs in Java programming. We can use either thread class or runnable interface for implementing threads. So at the same time, we have seen four different cases, such as with different sleep times, and with equal sleep times, and with different priorities and equal sleep time, and without sleep time. Okay, then with more applications open. So these are the things we have seen in the last lecture, and also I have given a simple example, one more example just like this, the example that I have explained, and I ask you to do these four different cases on that, and see the output and write your comments. This is what we have discussed in the last lecture. Today we'll see some more aspects of multi-threading. I am modifying the given program to you as a thread main demo to thread main ext. This is an extension. This program is especially used for the threads are when the threads will become alive and when the threads will become dead, and how to join various threads, so that we'll come to know whether the threads were completed their work or not, and after completion of the work whether they have joined in the main method or not. So this program demonstrates whether the thread is alive or not, and to join multiple threads after completion, and finally checking whether once the thread is completed execution, whether the thread is alive or dead. So for checking these functions, this particular program will give you a demonstration. Consider the previous program in which you have the thread main demo, in which you have two threads, thread 1 and thread 2. The first thread was implemented by extending thread class. Second thread is implemented by implementing the runnable interface. Now after doing this, after creating the instances, once the instances are created, that does not mean that the threads are alive or threads are created. When we call the start method on these objects, then only these threads will be ready for picking up by the scheduler. So that is reason to.start and tt.start. After these two statements, system.out.println is thread 1 alive. So how can you say that whether the thread 1 is alive or not? That means you have to say to.is alive. This function is alive is a function to be called on the thread 1, and is alive is is a function which to be called on the thread 2. So is alive is a boolean function which will return either true or false. If the thread is alive, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Next, we'll come to the join method. Join method is especially is used for joining of the threads, because the threads will execute in their entirety, and each and every thread is having its own sleeping time if declared by the programmer. So that reason these threads will execute in a different time intervals under the by the scheduler. So that is reason will wait till the thread completes its execution and join back to the main method. So like sleep method, thread.sleep method, join method will also throw an interpret exception. That is reason while calling the join method, one must use the try catch block to hold the exception. So in this try catch block, here waiting for the thread 1 to join. So that is reason this join function is called on the thread object, and waiting for thread 2 to join, tt.join, that is thread 2 object. On this this join function is called. So these are the inbuilt functions, especially to check whether the thread is alive, and waiting for the thread to join. This kind of things will be used with this join function and is alive function. So now by this time you come to know to check whether how to check whether the threads are alive or not, and how to wait for a thread to join into the main thread. So because you are running under the main method, so obviously this is the main thread, this is a single entry point, and in which you have two threads. This is one entry point and this is another entry point. So this thread 1 may execute in its entirety depending upon the sleep time etc., which was defined in the thread 1, at the same time for the thread 2 also. So once the thread execution is over, till that time the main method will wait. Once the thread executions are over, then they will join to the main method, and the rest of the statements after the thread execution will go on. Now since here joining was over, now we'll copy paste the same statements here. That is, we'll see after joining whether the threads are alive or not. Copy, and we'll paste here and save it. Now we'll compile and run, and we'll see whether what is the output at these two statements, and what is the output at these two statements after the child threads join the main thread. So let us compile this Java C thread demo 1. We will run this program, Java thread main demo extension. So currently both the threads are true means both the threads are alive, because once the start method was called. So once the threads were joined, the threads are checking for the thread is alive or not. So both the threads are not alive, those are dead because their execution were over, and we have got the false as the return value. That means that both the threads were dead. So this is the way how to check for the threads and its aliveness, and how to wait a main method to join its child threads. So for this we will use isAlive and join function. So the next is we'll go on to the synchronization concept. When two or more threads need to access a shared resource, they need some way to ensure that the resources will be used only by one thread at a time. Because when multiple threads are competing for the shared resource, obviously only one thread should be allowed to utilize that resource. So the process by which it is achieved is said to be synchronization. So without proper synchronization we cannot achieve this. So key to synchronization is the concept of monitor. So monitor means it is a abstract data type in which you have the shared resource and related operations on it. And a monitor is one that which consisting of a synchronized code. So a monitor is an object that can block and revive threads. So this is what the monitor is, the basic element for maintaining this particular synchronization, and this particular thing is also said to be semaphore in the Java programming concept. A monitor is an object that is used as a mutually exclusive lock, or we can say mutex. So a lock to be given on the mutual exclusion. So this is also said to be mutex. Only one thread can own a monitor at a given time. When a thread acquires a lock, it is said to have entered the monitor. Otherwise, it is not entered the monitor. All other threads attempting to enter the locked monitor will be suspended until the first thread exits the monitor. That means if the execution thread exit the monitor, then only remaining other waiting threads will be allowed to utilize that particular monitor. So the need for having monitor states is that sometimes a thread cannot perform its job until an object reaches a certain state. So that is the reason we are going to use the monitor states. So basically monitor is nothing but your any object which is to be shareable. Okay. So Java monitor supports addresses the issue of resource sharing by providing a lock for each object, and at the same time a keyword is used to synchronize that particular thing, which is called synchronized keyword. Okay, synchronized is a keyword which is available in Java programming that is going to be used for maintaining the synchronization. keyword for accessing the object's lock. And along with this one, in the last lecture we have seen in the diagram, that is state diagram of thread, wait, notify and notify all methods to be controlled to control the threads under the monitor state. Next, every object has a lock at any moment. That lock is controlled by at most one single thread. So anybody if there is a shared object, then if a thread want to acquire that particular object, then it has to that particular shared object must be locked. So that lock will be available with only one object at a time, or one thread at a time. A lock control access to objects synchronized code. In strict Java terminology, a monitor is any object that has some synchronized code. Please remember, monitor is nothing but an object that consisting of a synchronized code. So when can you say that an object consisting of synchronized code? That particular code must be enclosed within the synchronized block or a synchronized function. That we'll see in the program that we will discuss in the later section. So you remember that a monitor is any object that has some synchronized code. Synchronized code means the code that was written in the synchronized blocks or synchronized function. Okay, one can mark code as synchronized in two ways. One is synchronize an entire method by using synchronized modifier, just like public void run. Here public is a modifier. Like that, synchronized, you write public synchronized void, like that. Okay. Next is synchronize a subset of method by surrounding desired lines of code with curly brackets. So, and inserting an expression synchronized of some object before the opening curly brackets. So either you use the keyword called synchronized of which object you want to synchronize, and bracket open, and the code that you want to synchronize, and bracket close. This way you can do. Or whatever the code you want to synchronize, you enclose in an object enclose in a method and give the modifier as synchronized. The first method is always recommended method than the second method. Okay. The first method 6 of A is most common way of implementing synchronization, because synchronizing on any object other than the object that owns the synchronized code can be extremely dangerous. So that is the reason it is always recommended to use the first method. That means whatever the code you want to synchronize, that you include it in within a method with the synchronized modifier. Next is wait and notify are the methods that provides a way for sharing shared object to pause a thread when it becomes unavailable to the thread, and to allow the thread to continue when appropriate. So wait means it will go for waiting state to acquire the lock on the shared resource. When the lock was released by any thread which is executing the monitor, will notify to the remaining threads who are waiting for that resource, or waiting for the particular monitor. So next is points to remember about wait. Please remember wait whenever the wait is called. The calling thread gives up the CPU when you go for calling of the wait. The calling thread gives up the lock. The calling thread goes into the monitor's waiting pool when you say wait. So in the state transition diagram of the thread, you have seen there is a separate block of monitor states. That is, a thread which are under the wait will go into the monitor's waiting pool. Okay. When again monitor is available, then it will come back to the running state. The threads which are waiting for the monitor will come into the running state. Points to remember about the notify. An arbitrarily chosen thread gets moved out of the monitor waiting pool and into the seeking lock state. Okay. the thread was notified with a reacquire monitor's lock before it can proceed. That means the one who came out of the waiting pool will first acquire the monitor's lock, then only it will go into the running state. Okay, so these are the 10 points you must remember about the synchronization in Java programming. So these points anyhow you must read every day, or you use your own tricks to remember how you can remember this, because these 10 points are very important for dealing with the synchronization in Java programming, and these are very important for the competitive examinations and current syllabus also. So let us see the example. For synchronization, the first and foremost thing is there should be a shared resource or shared variable kind of thing. Now here I am going to declare a mailbox, class mailbox. This is a mailbox which is a shared resource among various threads. The intention of other threads is to insert some message in the mailbox, so that a thread will insert a message into the mailbox and the other threads will read the message from the mailbox. It is just like producer consumer problem. A producer will produce something and consumer will consume that. Like that, a thread will insert a message and consumers consuming threads has to read the message from the mailbox. So for insertion and removing of the message or insertion and reading of the message, two methods were used. One is set message. Set message is especially used for setting the message, and get message, whatever the message we have set or a thread has set, that has to be read. So this is a very simple function. So in this mailbox, two things were made private here. Private boolean status. When the just like while we are going to use the semaphore, binary semaphore kind of concept, if the message was set, then the status is true, so that other threads can read it, and if the status is false, that means there is no message set. And here a constructor mailbox. Since the setting of the message and getting of the message requires synchronization, because the threads has to be synchronized, so that if any thread is setting the message, then another method, some other methods will get the message. So this setting and getting should be synchronized. That is the reason we have used a synchronized keyword here, public synchronized void set message, like this. So set message, this dot message, that is the message that we have declared here, is equal to a message. What is the message you have assigned? And return message, that means it is going to return the inserted message. Here two classes were defined. One class is a producer class, another is a consumer class. Producer class will set the message, and consumer class will get the message. So class producer implements runnable. This is the recommended way of implementing the thread, via implementing runnable interface. We all know that in runnable interface there exists only one method called public void run. That must be defined in the producer class. And since producer is making use of the mailbox, which is a shared resource, so mailbox instance is going to be created here. Private mailbox is equal to mailbox, and public producer mailbox MB, this dot mailbox is equal to mailbox, and here we are going to start a thread, because if any class is implementing runnable interface, that means we need to pass upon that particular instance of the object, instance of the runnable implementation, to the thread class. Then only this particular thread will start, or this thread will be created. So here a new thread of this in the sense, this means producer instance, and to indicate the name, here a string is passed which is called producer dot start. So within one line instantiation was done, and thread. That means whenever you instantiate producer class, automatically the thread will be created and it will be started. So Once the thread is started and scheduler is available, it has to go into the running state. In running state, what it has to do, it has to continuously look for setting of the message once the producer read the message. So public void run int I is equal to 0 while true means continuously it is waiting. That means continuous waiting. This is what while true means. So mbox dot set message, that is mailbox dot set message of plus I. That means for 0th message was set and I value was incremented. In the next iteration, the second message will be set, third message will be set, and so on. So to indicate which message was set, here is a simple out.println. So it will print onto the console. Next is class consumer. We have seen consumer is a kind of thread which will consume the set message. Whatever the message was set, that message will be printed or returned. So since producer and consumer are has to share the mailbox, so here private mailbox is an instance created, and public consumer mailbox is a parameter as a constructor which is taking the mailbox object. This dot mbox is equal to mb. Like how we have created a thread and started in the producer, we are going to start the same in the consumer also. So thread of this means it's the instance of the consumer class, and to indicate it is consumer, we have added a string called consumer dot start. And when you say start, obviously it is going to the running state when handler is ready. Then public void run while true system.out.println got mbox.getMessage. Whatever the message was set in the producer, the same message you will get here. So this is the way how the producer consumer was used, and here in these three classes, mailbox, producer and consumer, which class is a monitor class? So the monitor class is one which consisting of synchronizer code. So that means in mailbox synchronizer keyword is there, synchronizer code is there. In producer there is no synchronizer code, and in consumer also there is no synchronizer code. So here monitor is mailbox. Okay. Next, public class main, public static void main. Here mailbox, you create an instance of the mailbox. This instance should be supplied to the constructor of producer and consumer. Producer p is equal to new producer. Obviously constructor will be called. In the constructor, this mailbox is assigned to mbox and a thread is started in case of producer, and in case of consumer, consumer c1 is equal to new consumer of mb. So that means it will keep on print set message of something and got the message of something. So that means producer is producing message and consumer is getting the message. So we have to expect the output like that: produce message 1, consume message 1, got message 1, produce message 1, message 2, got the message 2. Just like that we have to get the output. We'll run this program and we'll see. So we'll compile the code. Java C PC demo 0.java. Now we'll run the code. Java PC demo 0. Control C. Just will stop the thing, or we'll see the output. So you look at the output. It continuously set the message and get the message. One producer will set the message and consumers will get the message. So in this set message 261, got the message 261 and also got the message 262 before the first thread set the message 262. So that means here the printing of or getting of the values are completely in disorder. So that means this code, even though it looks like synchronization, but by and large it is not synchronized. The consumer threads are getting the value before they set the things in case of printing. For example, here you get set the message 263, got message 263, 264, got message 264, got message 264, got message 264. See, like this, multiple printings are happening. So once it was set 263, then the receiving or consuming threads should only get that particular value. Afterward, that value should be changed by the producer to 264, like that. But before setting into 264, remaining other methods got this. So in a zigzag way, in a disordered way, you got. So this is not the perfect synchronization. So that means we need to revive our code, even though our code looks good. That is, we will find that okay, this is the correct way of writing, because we have written a monitor with some synchronized code in that. No, actually we have to look for by making that once the producer produces, then consumer has to consume. That means consumer has to wait till producer produces that, and producer should produce till consumer consumes that. So unless until you won't maintain this this particular wait and checking of whether the producer produced or not, or consumer consumed or not, this kind of disorder in the output will come. So that reason, even though we have written the program with the synchronized, but it is not the perfect way of writing synchronization. For that purpose, to have this perfect way of synchronization, we should also introduce monitor states in our program. We'll see how to introduce those monitor states and in which situation we have to use this, and where this particular monitor functions has to be called and used, that we are going to see next. So the reason behind the output is because of the improper communication between the producer and consumer. Consumer don't know whether the producer really produced it or not, and producer don't know whether really the consumer consumed it or not. So because of this lack of communication between the producer thread and consumer thread, this disorder of the output has come. So that is the reason we need to maintain the proper communication between the threads. This is also said to be inter-thread communication. So we'll see how to use this how to maintain this inter-thread communication using monitor states. Java provides better inter-thread communication with the help of three functions such as wait, notify, and notify all. These methods are implemented as final methods in the object. So these are the methods will not be available, or the functions are methods which are not defined in the thread class or any other thread related classes, but these are the things which are defined under object class. Object class is the superclass of all classes in Java. So any class that you define as a monitor class, automatically this wait, notify, notify all will also be inherited into those classes. So these wait, notify, notify all are the final methods in the object. So all classes can have these things. That is these three objects. So all three methods can be called only from the synchronized methods. So you can only use this wait, notify, notify all functions only within the synchronized synchronized blocks, or for the synchronization purpose only you can use this wait, notify, notify all. Otherwise what will happen, these functions will not have any impact on the synchronization. Wait function will tells the calling thread to give up the monitor and go to sleep until some other thread enters the same monitor and calls the notify. So till other thread calls the notify, the current thread will go into the sleep by leaving the monitor states. In case of notify function wakes up the first thread that called the wait on the same object. Notify all wakes up all threads that call the wait on the same object. The highest priority thread will run first, then the lower priority threads. Just like that. That means the threads which are called wait function will be notified when the monitor is released, that is the shared object is released. So these objects are declared within the object class, just now we have seen. Then the wait exists especially that to maintain the lock on the monitor. So without this wait notify all, we cannot go for inter-thread communication. So the previous method in the mailbox class, previous class we consider mailbox, in which we use because of the lack of communication, proper communication between the producer and consumer, we got the output in disorder. So we'll use this wait notify and notify all functions to maintain the proper inter-thread communication. In the monitor state function, so wait function will throw interrupt exception, so the reason we need to keep it in try catch block. Just to recall the previous mailbox class that has been modified in this program. So mailbox, so same status is there, variable which is to represent the status, that is setting of the message status, and to set the message a string variable was declared. Mailbox constructor, synchronized public synchronized void set message. If status, then we have gone for the setting of the message. This dot message is equal to message. But here, if status, here we are going to, if status in the sense, if status is equal to true, that means the message has been consumed by the consumer, then try wait the procedure or wait the producer to insert the message. So you are asking the producer to wait for some time to insert the message, so that that means that here all the consumers who are waiting for the producer to insert a message, for all those threads, you are giving a call that you please wait for some time. Then this dot message is equal to msg. Once the message was set, the status should be true. Once the status is true, notify all, because at this particular wait all other consumer threads are going to waiting pool. That is reason we are going to define it as notify all once the message was set. If only one thread, you are dealing with only one producer and one consumer, then notify all is not required, only notify is required. But if you are having one producer and multiple consumers, then it is better to use notify all. Even in case of one-to-one also, this notify all will run, it don't have any problem. If you write notify all also, it will run. Now in the get message, public synchronized string get message, if not status means if the message has not been printed by the consumer, then if not status, you are asking the consumer to print the message. That means you are asking the producer to wait till consumer to print the message. So wait for the consumer to print message, wait. Then since the wait is throwing interrupted exception, you have to keep it in try catch block. Once the interrupted exception is that is once the wait is over, then set the status to false and notify all. Notify all means here all the producers who are waiting for the consumers to consume the message, then return the message. So this is the way you are supposed to structure. Here in case of set message, you check for the status. In the get message, not for the status, not status. That means here you have to check for whether the message has been produced or not, and here whether the message has been consumed or not. So these modifications you are supposed to do. Then only when the producer is trying to set the message, anyhow the status of the message is false. Okay, if false, then this particular wait will not be there. Okay, when if status is false, then this particular wait will not work. Directly it will go to the setting of the message and status will become true and notify all. So all the waiting threads will be notified with that message was set. Assume that at the same time the producer is not at all consumed the message, then the status will become true. Then in such a cases, if true, that means while the producer is trying to produce the message, by the time status is true, the reason is the message was not consumed by the consumer. So if true, it will go for wait. That means the producer will wait for some time. How long? Till this particular message set to false. So when the message was set to false, obviously it will come out of the statement, and the message was set by the producer, and status will be set as true, and it will be notified to the waiting threads. So this is the way how the inter-thread communication takes place. So the wait, notify all or the functions must be used only within the synchronization functions. So this is the function which is going to be synchronized, and get message is the function which is going to synchronize. So that reason wait, notify all functions will be used within the synchronization block. Nowhere in the program you will find the wait, notify all except in the synchronization blocks. So next we'll move on to the producer and consumer. The producer class is similar to the class that we have written previously, and consumer class is also the same class that we have discussed previously. But only difference what we have done is here, while printing the set message and get message, I have provided thread.sleep of 20 milliseconds. This is especially for the viewing of the output in the correct order. Otherwise what will happen, in a zigzag order you will get the output, so that whether the producer produced the message or consumer consumed the message, this identification will become difficult. That is the reason I have enclosed a sleep function, so that the producer thread will wait for 20 seconds and consumer thread will wait for here 10 milliseconds, not 20 seconds, here 20 milliseconds, and here it is 10 milliseconds. And since producer was given 20 milliseconds and consumer was given 10 milliseconds, then in the main class one mailbox shareable object was created, which is a monitor, and one producer was created, but 3 consumers were created. So since I have mentioned here notify all, obviously whenever the producer produces the message, these 3 consumers will be intimated. Once these 3 consumers consumed the message, then they will notify to the producer to produce the new message. So this is the way how the program how the producer thread and consumer threads will work in hand with the proper inter-thread communications with the help of wait, notify all. Even though in the last code we have written the synchronization function, but because of this miscommunication, they are unable to go for proper synchronization. So that is the reason with the help of monitor functions we are maintaining the inter-thread communications. In the inter-thread communication, now we'll see the output of this code. So Java say PC demo.java, this is producer consumer demo.java. So here class interface or enumeration is expected. We'll see this somehow some wrongness. Okay, the error has been rectified here. Java C PC demo. Okay, so it was compiled. Now run this code Java PC demo, Control C. Now look at the output here. This is, you can observe here, set message 18, and in the thread consumer thread 1 got the message 18, consumer thread 2 got the message 18, and consumer thread 3 got the message 18. Next is set message 19, then got message 19. So the production and consuming producing of the message and consuming of the message is in perfect synchronization. So this is the way how the inter-thread communication is maintained. Now we have seen uh, in the wait notify all. When the notify all or notify method was called, then the an arbitrarily chosen thread gets moved out of the monitor's waiting pool and will go for seeking of the lock. Actually, this if what is the case if all the waiting threads are of the same priority. So here look at all the consumers are having the same priority, because whenever a thread has been created, what is the default priority for the thread? That is norm priority, that is 5. So here these three threads are having the equal priority, so it will be picked up and will be sent for the consumption. But in case of these threads are having, if these threads are having different priorities, then how the manipulation will be done? Basically, whenever a wait function was called by the producer, then when the notify was released by the producer, the in case of different priorities by the which are assigned to the consumer, only the highest priority consumer will be considered first and will be executed by the thread scheduler. So in this connection, your task is set 3 different priorities to these 3 consumers. Set the priority of the first consumer to 3, priority to 3. Next consumer's priority to 6. Next consumer priority to 8. Now you rerun the program and see which thread will be getting the message first and which thread will be getting the message last. So this is the question given to you. You consider this program. This program is already is given in the stream or in the lecture. So you download this particular program from the lecture folder and try to modify this by setting different priorities to these 3 different consumer threads and see the output. Next is a special type of error that we need to avoid, which is related specifically to multitasking, is deadlock, which occurs when this particular deadlock occurs when 2 threads have circular dependency on a pair of synchronized objects. For example, suppose one thread enters the monitor on object say for example X, and another thread enters the monitor on the object Y. If the thread X tries to call any synchronized method on Y, then it will block actually. It will be blocked. So however, if the thread in Y in turn try to call a synchronized method in X, so that means X is requesting the synchronizer code in Y, and Y is expecting the synchronizer code in X. So this kind of circular waiting will lead to deadlock. So deadlock is a difficult error to debug just for the 2 reasons. Here actually, if 2 things are there, then only two threads are there, and one thread is waiting for another thread synchronizer code, and second thread is waiting for the first thread synchronizer code, we can easily identify the way, okay, there are only the 2 threads are there, there exists circular wait. But what is the case if multiple threads exist in the system? So that is a big problem. So the deadlock is a difficult error to debug for the 2 reasons. First reason is, in general, it occurs only rarely when the two threads time slice in just the right way. That means if both time slicing was done in the same way, then the threads will be having circular weight, and it may involve more than two threads to synchronized objects. In such a cases also we will get this particular deadlock. So circular weighting will lead to deadlock, that you are supposed to understand. So if both the threads were having the same time slicing, or if two threads are waiting for the same synchronized code, in such a cases this particular deadlock will occur. So to understand this deadlock concept, let will go for a simple example as shown here. Here a deadlock class has been written. Public class deadlock implements runnable. Since it is a thread type, so we are supposed to implement the runnable, and itself is the main class, and there are two objects were given here. So private object first reference, private object second reference. So deadlock is having a constructor, public deadlock, object first, object second. So first reference is first object that you will assign, second reference is the second object. So here object A is resource A and object B is resource B. Now since this is the deadlock is the runnable interface related implementation, so its instance must be passed to the thread class constructor so that the thread can be started. So here thread T1 is equal to new thread of new deadlock. Since the deadlock is having a parameterized constructor which will take two arguments, first and second, so this A and B objects were passed into the deadlock constructor. Next second thread we have created, one is thread 2, that is new thread of new deadlock, calling the parameterized constructor of deadlock, that is B comma A. Now here it is first object is B and second object is A, and here first object is A and second object is B. So it is to show that A is trying to get the synchronized code of B and B is trying to get the synchronized code of A. Since it is implementing runnable interface, we need to override a function called public void run. So here in public void run, if you observe while true, system.out.println thread.current thread.get name, which is acquiring the lock on the first reference, then a second approach has been used for representing the synchronized code. Here synchronized of the object. Previously we have kept the synchronized modified for the function that we want to synchronize. This is the second way of implementing the synchronization. That is, you can observe the you can place a specific object that you want to synchronize. So to do that, we are going to use the synchronized of first reference, then the synchronized related statements to be written in the block, that is resource is going to be locked, and obtain lock on the first reference, then looking for the lock on the second reference, and there is another synchronized block second reference where you are going to represent the resource is locked with the on the second reference, that is obtaining of the lock on the second reference. So the first reference is trying to obtain the lock on the second reference, so looking for the lock on the second reference, and second reference is trying to get the lock on the first reference. So this is the way how the synchronization code was written with respect to the synchronized of object. So to have this to get the difference between the synchronization, because it was kept in the while loop, we have kept the try thread dot sleep of 100 milliseconds to realize that the synchronization of thread is going for, and first reference is waiting for the lock on the second reference. To have this particular feeling, because since it was kept in the while loop, we have made a thread dot sleep function so that we can visualize how this particular lock is going to request and acquire or release. So this is a simple program that was written
to represent the deadlock. So deadlock will come when one thread is waiting for the synchronizer code of second thread. At the same time, second thread is also waiting for the synchronizer code of first thread. So if you run this code, because previous codes I have run on the system and I'm showing you, but this code cannot be run, because if you start running this code, this will go into the infinite loop and it will lead to deadlock. So to come out of the deadlock, if you run on your computer, press Ctrl C. Most of the computers will terminate this deadlock and will come out. Otherwise you are supposed to restart the system. So the expected likely output is like this: thread 1 looking for lock on resource B, thread 0 looking for lock on resource A. Again, thread 1 is obtaining lock on resource B, thread 1 is looking for lock on resource A. Thread 0 is obtained lock on resource A, and thread 0 is looking for lock on resource B. So you look at looking for lock on resource B and looking for lock on resource A. That is, thread 1 is looking for lock on resource B, and at the same time thread 0 is also looking for lock on resource A. So B is looking for A synchronization code and A is looking for the B's synchronization code. So that is, thread 1 is looking for the resource B, and thread 0 is looking for the resource A. So this is the way how the circular wait is maintained. That is the reason this particular program will end up in the deadlock. So if you want to run this program, you be cautious. If you are trying to run this code, then keep it in mind that if your system is not responding for a long time, then go for Ctrl C. Otherwise, if it don't work, then go for Ctrl Alt Delete and close this particular program. If still it doesn't work, you are supposed to restart the system. Okay, this is the example of deadlock, how the deadlock will occur. So in this lecture we have seen the synchronization concept. First of all, we have started with the alive and join. Then afterwards we have seen the synchronization. So how the synchronization will be maintained, and how the inter-thread communication will be achieved with the help of wait, notify all. Then improper way of representing the threads and improper way of providing locks on the resources, and maintaining of circular waits, how these things will lead to the deadlock. That and all we have seen in this particular lecture.